What's up, guys? Welcome to the
What's
Fan
up?
Spectrum. We're out here.
Foul ball. It's a foul ball.
Drunks everywhere here.
Hey, keep it
We're here. We're discussing baseball. We're discussing Chicago baseball today. Again, this is a Fan Spectrum where we discuss just the fans' viewpoints on sports today. Let's start off. We're going to talk about Chicago sports. Again, you want to talk about Cubs or Sox today? Which one? Let's do Cubs first.
Let's get on this. Let's get on the North Siders.
Go on the north side. We're going to take it to Addison. So, pretty much, man, I think it's been a pretty okay season so far. I think we've seen some good stuff. We see some okay stuff. I see the bullpens getting really good with the Cubs. I am very enjoying. I'm enjoying it a lot, especially with the division they're in. It's good to have that, game closing type of scenario where we need, and especially when in the playoffs, it's definitely crucial. I mean, when I was at the Angels game yesterday, they were up 9-3 and the bullpen went in and they almost lost the game. It was 9-8. And so it's definitely important to have that bullpen kind of get going for the Cubs. And I think it's the first time where I've actually felt comfortable with saying that. And I'm liking it. I'm definitely digging it. It's a great time to do it. It is a longer season though, so we'll see how the longevity goes. But I'm excited for the Cubs this year. They're in second place as we were recording the show, and in this division though, it seems very up and down. That's the one thing I'm scared about. It's if it's still early. But how do you feel?
No,
about the
for
Cubs,
sure.
Man?
So that's exactly what I'm going to look at. I'm looking at right now. I think they played earlier. Overall, from a standpoint, they are half a game back from first. What it is they're exactly that. Their hitting has been subpar. If it's what it is, what the story is, if it ain't Chris Bryant, it ain't nobody. It's really what it's coming down to. Chris Bryant's been having an amazing season, an MVP like season, playing, hitting the ball, seeing the ball very well. Having Ian Happ back, Ian's been great too. Ian's been having a really good season as well. That pitching though, you've hit it spot on, right on the head. For the first time, the farm system looks great. Like it's been feeding some pitchers into the bullpen, and they've been doing well. And Adbert Alzolay, I love him. I really think he's the guy that's ready for the big leagues. And last year and the year before, they were just teasing. They would have him come up, maybe pitch a couple innings, and then go back down. But I think he fits perfectly into that. Yeah, I think he's going to be the new ace. I mean, it's either he's the new ace or he's right under Hendricks, because Hendricks is Hendricks. He's here the professor. But yeah, they definitely need to figure out what it is to do with hitting if they want to win. They need to beat it.
It's very opposite, man. Like I remember in the last couple of years, it's always our hitting was great, but our pitching was bad, and I think this has mainly to do with David Ross. I think ever since Rossi came in, pitching is getting better and better, and I thoroughly enjoy that. And I think the league is starting to figure it out that if you have great pitching, you're definitely destined to win a World Series.
Dude, the league is a pitching league at the moment. Yeah. Like everybody's hitting 100 like easy now. It's either 96 and up. A lot of these pitchers are, and it's harder for these hitters to make contact. And that's what it's coming down to. And a lot of people are talking about, well, what do we do? Do we move the mound back more? So by the time it hits home plate, it's not 100, maybe it's 95 or 96, and it's easier. But a lot of these hitters now, it's from a standpoint, it's either you're swinging your hardest to either hit a home run, you're striking out, or you're walking. There's really no more contact baseball anymore, where it's like, you're hitting to get a couple guys on base and then you're going for that home run. Or a lot of these guys, it's either home run or bust. And it's because it's hard to keep up with 102, 101, 100 when that's the relief pitcher. That's not even a closer anymore. You have relievers, starters hitting 102, and they're pitching that the whole game. And then you bring in a guy that throws maybe 96, and it's the whole game you have to try to keep up with that bat speed. And again, that goes to some of the batters that they have to get their bat speed up. But it's hard. It's hard to do that. It's hard to follow. So I don't know necessarily what the league is probably going to do. But then again, what helps it is there are teams that are struggling in the bullpen. And the White Sox are one of those teams. Like they're meant to be. It's crazy because when the season started, that was supposed to be their strong point. It was like this bullpen is unstoppable, and it's actually been the very opposite. The hitting's been great.
Yeah, the hitting's always been.
Hitting's there.
Hitting coming into the season, we kind of figured their hitting was going to be good.
Yeah, and that's pretty easy, like with the Sox. So a big thing that hasn't helped them is their bullpen. Their bullpen hasn't been great. And a lot of people, unfortunately, the north side loves David Ross. The south side does not like Tony La Russa.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go on record and say I don't know what the hell is going on over there. Well, I do, but I don't know why it's going on, if that's the right word. I don't get that whole scenario with Tony La Russa talking trash when they're winning. It's like you're beating I don't know.
You're beating the team. It's crazy because La Russa's came out and your main Mercedes missed a sign. I asked him to take it. I have these unwritten rules of baseball of 1908 that we're still following is BS. Like they don't matter, bro. Like you're talking about if a team puts a position player on the mound, if you want to get out of the inning, then put in a pitcher. Don't put in a position player that's going to throw like he's playing 16 in softball. You might as well throw it under.
Rizzo struck out a player the other day. Right.
Yeah.
And and that was fun. Everyone had a great time with that. So I don't understand why. Yeah, I definitely.
The biggest thing is the concept that it was that pitcher threw a freaking balloon. He just threw like literally the highest, like whatever it was, and your main Mercedes rocked it. And it's crazy we're still talking about this, and this is something that's been a talk of the town for a while. But it's just the concept that La Russa is still old school. He's been out of the league for almost 10 years. He still thinks the game is being run like it's been 10 years ago.
It's that, but it's also that side of the respectful side. It's like, well, this guy has rings, you know. He does, and I get that. You know, you do respect what the coach is saying. I think that's what kind of it is. It's like, hey, man, I'm Tony La Russa. Why aren't you?
So yeah,
it's that ego.
It's an ego, and to me, I feel like that's different though when you're in St. Louis and everybody is coming in new, where you've been there, versus coming to a team that's already built. This is their swagger that they had with Red Torria as their coach. Like, this is their swag. This is something that they had. Red Torria wasn't pushing it back or telling them don't do that. And you go ahead, you bring him, La Russa, in, and La Russa's like, no, you can't do this. No, now you can't do that. You don't even know the rules, some of the rules, and they've lost games because he doesn't know some of the rules. So, to me, are they going to cut La Russa? Are they going to move on from him? I don't know, man. It's Reinsdorf we're talking about.
To be quite honest, man, I haven't really watched a lot of baseball this year. I definitely am more excited to watch it more and more now that I've seen that these two teams are battling it out more. And I'm excited to see how, for me, I'm more excited to see how Chris Bryant's going to lay it down. I'm glad he's doing really good. I know he was in a lot of talks of trading him, and I want to see what the future holds for him. That's really all I can say, man.
That's the next thing, right? If you're the Cubs front office, do you try to, do the hometown discount kind of thing? Like, do you sit with these guys one by one?
It is very tough. Especially since these guys, especially since these guys want a ring. Yeah, want a ring for the city. It's kind of that. Well, yeah, you guys want a ring, but we're dwindling down to what's next. You know what I'm saying? And it's they've brought in good talent since then. David Bodie's been good. They've brought in
Jack's had a great year. Jack's having a good year so far.
Jock Peterson's another one. Yeah. And I like bringing in these guys, and they're still, developing and doing great and connecting with these other players. But it's just kind of that, hey, we need to save up money. Who are we going to get rid of? We need
that's my that to me for the Cubs is the biggest concern. Is next. I'm already more worrisome about next offseason before even this year's playoffs or trade deadline. What it comes down to, do you do trade with Chris Bryant having the great year he's having, and you guys and the Cubs having a chance at a playoff spot? Do you trade Bryant?
Yeah,
do you trade him on the playoff? Do you trade him at the deadline to get more prospects? Do you keep him and then just let him go free as a free agent? Like, you got Baez, who's another guy looking for a contract. You got Rizzo looking for a contract. And I mean, it's nice to hear guys like Contreras say, like, why, let's run it back. Like, that's Contreras' mind is to try to keep everybody. He wants everybody to stay. And that's nice to hear. You know, to be honest, as much I'd love to keep this core together. I'd love to keep Rizzo and Bryant and Baez, but it all depends for what it comes down to what price, and is that even a possibility? And that's the thing. We don't know.
We don't know.
You know, do they go like I said earlier?
Who would you keep though out of the guys we have? For me or less, I'd keep Chris Bryant. I think he's proved it time and time again. Even with big games, he's proved it.
Let's say if we had a look at from a standpoint of overall, right there, like who would you keep? I mean, I'm a big Baez fan. I love Baez. I defensively, he's a monster. His bat is what's always the worry. And it's crazy though, when people talk about the bat, he does great, and then when people don't, he does bad. It's like, okay, so it's like there's no consistency, man. It hurts, man. It really hurts. I would hate to see him go, but realistically, I would say we're gonna end up with Baez. We're gonna keep Baez for sure. Brian will be out, and we'll see what Rizzo wants to do in terms of the contract.
I don't know, man. I feel like with Baez, he's great. Don't get me wrong. I love him. He's got
the swagger, right?
Swagger. The swagger is what makes him
El Mago, bro. Like,
yeah. But when it comes down to it, I mean, there's a lot of other players that can definitely hold up the same amount of weight that I think he kind of has. The only difference is the swagger. I feel. I mean,
it comes like I said. It's that like you said earlier. It's money talks, man. I mean.
Exactly.
Will it be like, you know, if Baez understands, hey, look, in order for me to stay, I got to do this, and he's okay with that?
I think getting that bullpen and that pitching going is what's another key factor, because you're going to have to pay those guys as well. And it's like, what's more important, getting that pitching rotation, you know, secured, or is it getting rid of these bats? Hey, guys, if you guys enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe. Follow us on
TikTok, Twitter, IG when we get that up and running, and make sure again subscribe to that YouTube. Show some love.
Enjoy it, guys. We want to see your viewpoints, and make sure you comment. And if you want to talk trash, hey, bring it on.
Feel free.